views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. Wow. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Transformation Talk Radio. We having a great show. Sarah, how are you doing here? How you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's great. Thank you so much for filling in. It's great to have your vibe in the show today. We got a great show. Really exciting. Exciting. You're going to be super busy today, just telling you right now.
I'm always ready for it.
Well, probably want to find a Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys for today's show. Probably
we can do that.
That's what today's show is about. Understanding vibes and how they affect our emotions, health, and what we attract in our lives with Caitlin Keith. Now, let me tell you this. Caitlin, this is going to be like a household name for all of us. I am so excited. I know that we have got an hour to talk about. So I think that what's going on here with what Caitlin has developed and the team has developed is what Dr. Oz calls the next frontier of medicine. And I'm going to tell you that the reason that I'm excited about this is because it's not the next frontier. It's the now frontier. It's here. It's because people like Caitlin have been figuring out, and the folks at Vibes Up have been figuring out, wait a minute, there are natural solutions for a modern world. Holy cow. There are. And what are they? Are they things that can help us in our everyday lives? How do we deal with the electromagnetic fields that are going on? You have heard me and Dr. Darvish talk about this for like years now, about how it affects our health, how it affects our immune system. Now, what is it about pain now? The information we have about pain right now in this country is off the charts. And what is it that we are willing to learn about? What is it we're willing to shift? We just heard Leslie talking about a time to shift. How would you like to shift from running on 4% of our humanity and human potential to 100? Well, there is a simple answer. It takes energy to run our full being. And Caitlin Keith, for example, has come up with an entire venue for us to get a natural solution to whatever is ailing us. Now, here's what I want to say about this. This is when I say vibes up, I'm talking about vibrational therapy. You know, this is about educating and giving people tools. Caitlin is known as an intuitive scientist, studies nature for the answers to life's big questions. But when you can study nature and then bring what you learn into the reality of tools and things we can use to apply to our lives, that's the miracle of Vibes Up. Caitlin, it's great to have you. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. And I love some of the points that you made there. And I really loved how you said, are we willing to learn? And we do have some options. You know, we can do the swinging the pendulum to bury our head in the sand and pretend nothing's going on around us, or we can go the other route, which is in fear, and that's not a good vibe either. That can be more toxic than the things around us that are not beneficial. So I like the in-between. I like proactive and solution-minded, so aware and proactive. And so I love that you brought up the point of, are we willing to be aware? And it's kind of like turning the light on, you know, the monster in the room, and you don't want to look, you head under the covers, and you turn the light on, and you go, oh, it's just this, and this is how we handle it. That's my favorite choice. Is the one right in the middle.
Well, what I love about this is, I want to thank you, first of all, for all of the amazing things that you've sent. We're going to talk about them today. For those of you tuning in, I want you to follow along. If you're at a computer or you have a smartphone, everybody's got a smartphone now, just go to Vibes Up, VIB as in boy, ES up. Go to vibesup.com. Now, the reason I'm saying to go here is because you're going to be able to follow along with us about what Caitlin's talking about. When we talk about Vibes Up and we talk about that blending of science and therapy and education, and we take the point of view that we have from being a skeptic, which I know she and we come from a long line of that. What is it we can discover because we're curious? Caitlin, I want to ask you, take us on a journey. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at, what you've created at Vibes Up, what some of these remedies are for people. And I am in awe. And I'm going to talk about my own personal experience. But for you, how did you get to be part of a visionary, awarded concept and a line of products? How did this happen for you? Did you just pop out like this, or what was the journey?
Well, I think that all of us have the ability to connect to nature. Like, nature is this wise teacher that's there for us, that has so much to share. Look at nature. It's like the ultimate solver. Anything that comes up, it figures out how to take care of it. And I think we all have this ability to communicate with nature. And I was writing a book on, talking with trees, and I noticed there's a lot of people, as I was doing research on it, throughout history that have done a lot of actual communication with nature. And whether it's just being inspired when you're in nature or getting some real scientific facts in that interaction. But I was lucky that I started at a young age in the Northwest Territories in Canada, and it was way out in the boonies. And the closest town was like an hour away, and it had mud streets, just to give you an idea how far out there it was. And when the other parents would put their kids in school, my parents didn't believe in kids going to school until they were like 6 or 7 because their eyes were still developing. They really shouldn't be sitting at a desk focusing on a book that young. And so I would play in the forest while the other kids were learning from books. And being one of those kids that's the obnoxious, why, but how, but why, but why, I had dialogue started up with nature. The plants and the trees and the ants and everything were my playmates. They were my teachers. And so I had that beautiful connection. And I think a lot of us as kids have that kind of more open connection to the world around us. And then as we become adults, that can tend to, we can get in our logical side. And so that's what I did too. And it wasn't until I was older and I started to get like pain in my chest, and I was like, what is this? And I went to different doctors, and they said, no, honey, you're fine. I'm like, something is not right here. And finally I asked an intuitive lady, and she said, honey, you're just not on your path. I'm like, oh, I felt every cell in my body go, dun, dun, dun. That's the answer. And so what I did that day was I decided I'm going to follow my own heart's wisdom and my heart's ability to recognize what is love, what is not, what's my truth, what is not. Instead of so much looking to the so-called experts outside of me on what's right for me, I really turned back, because whatever you believe in is where your energy goes. And when I believed in everything outside of me to tell me what was best for me, my energy went there. And when I started to believe in my own heart, my energy came in towards me. And that was the day that changed everything. All of a sudden that connection with nature started back up again, and life became so magical. From moment to moment, I knew, like, I had my inner GPS turned on, which was my inner knowing, that heart truth, And so as I did that, I had this childlike part of me wake back up again. And nature, I think, is on the childlike loving channel,
Yeah.
There's just so I started to pick up on information again, and I would get so much humorous, simple, and very scientific information. And I was not a scientific I didn't do well in school. I didn't really process well that way. But I would take this information and run it by physicists, have tests done on machines, and it was so accurate. It was really fun for the physicists to be like, well, yeah, that's how it is, but we've never quite heard it that way before. I'm like, because nature can bring it very, very simple. We get things so complex when it's very simple. And so that was my journey and how it started. And I was getting this heart nudge to make something, and I didn't understand it logically, but my heart said, oh, this feels like love. This feels amazing. So I went ahead and started doing it, and it wasn't till, step by step of doing it that I started to understand the science and started to get the tests and started to get the awards coming in for it and all that. And I was just so grateful to nature really for caring enough about us to step forward, and it sees the cocoon of synthetic, unbalanced environment that we've created for ourselves. And nature knows we're really not going to leave that. We're not going to leave our cushy beds and all these modern conveniences and go live out in the forest where we would be affected by the balance of nature. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite scientists, and that's Bruce Lipton.
Oh,
and he says, he's amazing, and he says a paragraph that made me grab my heart and weep. And the reason and I'm not a big crying person, and I was like, why am I crying so deeply when I heard these words? And I think it was a soul knowing, of truth. And he said that the cells of our body are liquid crystal semiconductors that are programmable by our environment. And as we know, we affect our environment, and our environment affects us as well. It goes both ways. Kind of like when you're in a good mood, you can affect people around you. And when they're in a good mood, they can affect us too. So it does go both ways. And when I heard that, it was just like, so true. So when we're in nature, and nature has this secret, it has this mathematical genius secret to the reason why nature is sustainable and the reason why nature makes its own energy. It generates its own energy. And that is, again, a mathematical secret. And it can teach us that. Normally, we would be, our cells of our body would be naturally being programmed by the environment of nature and learning how to do that also. But we've got ourselves in the environment of all this unnatural, unbalanced things. And remember what he said, our cells are liquid crystal semiconductors that are programmable by their environment. So what environment are we being programmed with in our modern synthetic? And it's a total imbalance. And the Asian culture say the root of all disease is imbalance. And now I really get, I've heard the words, but it didn't really register to me until I understood what nature does. And that's something, when you're ready here, I'll share with you what that thing that nature knows.
I love it because I want to talk about what you've created. One of the things I love when you go to the website, for those of you, vibesup.com, we have some cool things to give away during the show here. But I love your description of how it works because, of course, 13 years ago, I dialed a wrong phone number. I didn't hang up. And here I am today. Transformation Talk Radio, Positive Talk. We now have a crowdfunding campaign we're getting ready to launch for exactly the reason you described. When you talk about how a radio works to describe what you've created, I get it. You're talking about a vibration that gets created. Now, you and I could sit here and talk about the woes of the world, or we could talk about a solution. We could talk about, we could, you and here could talk about surviving, or we could talk about thriving. 13 years ago, I don't know how I figured it out. Tough time in my life. I picked thriving. The vibe of thrive is what we've been called. But tell us in your words now about these amazing things you've created, award-winning, right? Breakthrough of how these work to heal. And then I'm going to share with folks what my experience has been in a really short period of time.
Okay, great. I'd love to share that. And I love the vibe of thrive. I think, I want that on my wall.
Do it. Put it on your website. Go ahead.
I love it. Well, before I talk about the actual product, I can do a real quick, how the heck does that work?
Yeah.
And so it's generating over 1 million rays of energy per second, this special energy. And I want to clarify that, because all these people will say, oh, my God, it healed that, and it fixed this, and I don't have this allergies, and I don't have this pain, and they'll constantly, I get so many emails a day of people saying, thank you, thank you. And I really have to say it's not Vibes Up that gets the credit. The ultimate healer is our body. The body gets the credit, and Vibes Up is just feeding it this special bioavailable energy, the kind of fuel your body knows what to do with. It's feeding that to the body, and then the body takes that and goes, okay, I'm going to put this to work, because the body's so wise and knows how, just needs the fuel. So let's talk about how this fuel is created. And nature has this bringing together of two polarities, kind of like mommy, daddy, baby. And it brings together the opposite polarities to create life energy. Like a pine cone, my favorite example, has 8 swirls that come up from the earth. The earth is the physical side of the polarity. It has 5 swirls that come down from the universe. That's the non-physical side, heaven and earth. And wherever those 2 swirls cross on a pine cone, there's a seed. Life is created. And that's the creation energy. It's called 0 point energy. And that is what nature taught me how to make, because every cell of our body is got 2 polarities, our left and right brain, all throughout us. And if we had our battery plugged in this mathematical, it's called phi, called the golden measurement, the Fibonacci sequence. And so science understands it, nature's got it, and it's time for us to really get that when we bring our 2 polarities of every part of our body together in that perfect ratio, boom, every cell of our body starts to generate its own energy. So that's one of the things that the products are doing. They're literally they're a little mini computer, a nature computer that is reprogramming the cells to remind them how to get back in their balance, how to start generating energy, feeding them energy that they can use. And then, you know what I'd like to do? Because now we kind of get how it works. Like, okay, yeah. It's like this little battery thing that makes energy, and it's all nature. Well, let's talk about how I make that. Can I take you on a 3-minute field trip?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So imagine that you're all gathered with me around a KitchenAid mixer. And literally, that's what I use to make these. And inside the bowl, I put all these nature ingredients, essential oils and gemstones and flower essences, all this wisdom of nature. And I put liquid crystal, which amplifies everything. I put all these really fun ingredients in here of nature. And then there is black tourmaline and clear quartz. Now, these little guys do something special. When you apply pressure to them, they create something renewable, something wild. It's called piezoelectricity, which if you look that word up, P-I-E, like a yummy pie, Z-O, piezoelectricity. When you apply pressure to these 2 guys, they produce over 1 million rays of energy per second. So imagine we're mixing all this up, and we're going to spread it on a cookie sheet, like you're frosting a cake on this cookie sheet, and we're going to let that air dry overnight. And when it dries, it shrinks. And now what's happening is it's creating pressure on those 2 stones. And guess what they are? They're 2 polarities, the black and the clear, right? They're oscillating back and forth between the 2. One's feeding energy into the body, and the other is taking the excess non-beneficial energy out. So breathing in, breathing out. And when you have that, think of some of you may know about an alternator on a car. An alternator moves energy back and forth, back and forth. And when it does that, it generates energy. When sports people have an injury, they give them hot and cold treatments because the polarities of hot and cold generate energy. So now this mat is doing several things. It's reminding the cells of their balance. It's feeding the energy to the body. It's grounding. It's pulling out the excess toxic energy. And that's what we are marinated in right now is we have the Wi-Fi, we have all the cellular, we have so much of this electronic toxic energy. And you know, Dr. Pat, if you can get reception on your cell phone when you're inside of a building, that means that's coming through the walls. And if it's coming through the walls, it goes through our bodies, through our pets, through our food, we're marinated in that. But the good news is that, and the Japanese are very advanced in using black tourmaline to help overcome this.
Totally.
But in our little mat here, we have this incredible combination, and when I get it just right, it produces 0-point energy, like the seed on the pine cone. It's this intelligent, amazing creation energy, and it's doing that, pulsing it woof, 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 out to the food that we have to help energize the food and pull the excess toxic energy out, to our bodies, to our pets. And then there's all these fun ways that I got to bring them into our lives. Because, again, nature knows we're not going to leave our comfies and go out to it. So it was nudging me on a way to bring that in a concentrated, very alive, fun, simple, magical way into our modern lives, to where we can function and thrive without giving up all these modern comforts and wonderful things. And so what I really like, too, is that nature is fun, simple, magical. And at a certain point, I realized, oh, thank goodness, because I'm a busy person. I think everybody's getting busier all the time. And to have to add one more thing onto my remember to do everyday list is a little bit taxing, like, oh, I got to remember to do this. And I love it because, like the mat under the sheet, so you get in your bed, it's already there. The ones inside your shoes, you put your shoes on, they're already there doing their thing for you, connecting you to the earth. You put your bracelet on, you don't have to remember to put it on 3 times a day. You drink out of your water bottle, it's already in the bottom of your bottle. So it just fits so easily into our everyday lives.
Yeah, that's actually what I love about what you've created, and we're gonna walk everybody through what some of these items are. I mean, it's really interesting. Caitlin, you just mentioned the mat, and I think that for those of you out there, this is really exciting, because I'm going to share a couple stories about this. But when we're talking about the mat, what are we talking about? We're talking about a vibrational therapy, something that's happening here. And for those of you out there, we're actually going to be giving some of these away. If you guys go to vibesup.com, you could take a look at it. But some of the things Caitlin and I are going to talk about today have multiple purposes. What is it that is just been said, Caitlin, by you that makes so much sense? We really do not want like one more thing to have to do. But if in our lives, by the very nature of the mat already being under the bed, of just having things that are already part of how we step out into the world, that's going to be as easy as remembering to take our cell phones with us. And see, this is the thing that I love about what you said. Forget about the cell phones, the fact that where most people are putting that thing up to your ears, right? But all of the ways now that Wi-Fi, no matter where you go, is so much a part of our cells, absorption, and everything else. You talked about the mat. I would love for you to tell us about the mat. And then when we come back from break, I'm going to tell folks about my journey with the mat. But tell us about this vibrational therapy mat.
Well, I think I'd like to tell you the computer part of it. So so think of all this, and this mat I can make into all these different things. That there's 108 uses that my customers and I came up with together. But let's look at it like a little computer, in that a computer, like think of a DVD, and let's imagine you have this movie on a DVD and it's nature and it's wonderful, and you watch it and you're like, I feel so uplifted. I love this. And then somebody comes along and records a war, hate, murder, negative movie onto your DVD. And now what? So now I'm comparing it to the natural and the synthetic, right? You're like, man, when I put this movie in, it just makes me feel terrible and it drains me. What do we do now? Do we have to throw away this DVD, or can we take it back to the computer and re-record your original movie on there? And the good news is we can. So all these synthetics around us were once natural, and we have monkeyed with them. We've recorded the negative movie onto them, the negative reality onto them. And instead of going, oh, these are bad or terrible, and judging them, we can say, oh, bless their hearts, they were once natural. They've just gotten out of balance. And how a computer programs a movie onto a DVD is 2 steps. It takes information, what your original movie is there, an array of energy. You know how they use the term, I'm going to burn a movie onto a DVD?
Yeah.
That ray of energy is infrared. Whatever it passes through, whoop, picks up the information. Whatever it touches next, it imprints it. That's how a computer can record onto a DVD. Well, our brains do the same thing. Our left brain is the intention, the information. Our right brain is the emotion. Whoop, whoop. We're constantly doing the same 2 steps as a computer and programming our reality around us. Well, the little mat that you have there is a squishy nature computer, and it's doing 2 things constantly. Information, there's all that information of nature, all that wisdom of nature in there. And then there's those infrared rays that are constantly passing through that, picking up the information, and whatever they're touching next, they're imprinting it. So they're re-reminding. And I send my things off for years now to a clinic in Ireland where they do all this testing for me. Recently, I've invested in the machine for myself so I can test as I go. And it will literally take things that are synthetic, out of balance, which is a 2.5 frequency, and they put it on the mat, and they test it again, and it brings it to what's called a 1.1, which means it's that place of balance. So they can bring the synthetics that are normally draining us back into a place of harmony where they're not needing to pull on our systems anymore. And so your mat can re-energize and pull the toxic energy out of everything that it gets around and remind it of its place of balance. And I can tell you an experience with GMO food with the mat, if you'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, I want to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to talk about, what are the experiences of this and how does it work? I mean, what is the brilliance of how people can become renewed? What is our natural state and how do we get back to that? Balance has been the key word. We're going to take a short break when we come back. I'm going to share a few of my experience as well as Caitlin will, and then we have something really special to give away. We will open up the phone lines in a minute. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
Do you want the freedom to spend more time with your loved ones? Travel the world? Live spontaneously? Get ready, because the Chip Justice Show is here. Hosts Dr. Pat Basile and Chip Justice can help you build meaningful success while embracing life. Living a life you love is the end game in this new, inspirational, and empowering show. Positive changes for a life you'll love. Tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com and visit PositiveChangeInstitute.co for more information.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I want to just say to everybody out there, we have put something together for you. If you guys have been thinking about, wait a minute, I don't know what to get people for the holidays. I don't know how, it's the same old story when it comes to the holidays. Here's what you're going to hear in the next half hour on the show. You're going to hear about what I'm getting people for the holidays. And there's a very special reason why. If you go to vibesup.com, VIB as in boy, ES, up.com/Dr. Pat, DRPAT. You're going to be able to see several options for you in what you might be able to get for people or for yourself. Part of this is going to be able to look at, well, wait a minute, how does this work? What can we do about it? This is a very busy time of a year. For somebody like me, I love to be able to wind down. And I've got a really interesting story to share with you. Caitlin, thank you so much. And we're going to be giving away a mat on the show here in a few minutes. I was sitting here last night, and thank you so very much for the mat and some of the other things we're going to talk about that you sent. And so here I am. I put on the mat. I had the pants on, and I was really the gloves on. And I put the mat down on the couch. I wasn't ready to go to bed. 6 o'clock, Caitlin. And I put it 5 minutes. I'm gone. I'm out. And how do I know that? Because Linda calls me, and I woke up. So Linda calls me all of a sudden, and I woke up, and I'm like, she's like, what are you doing? I said, I would just lay down with the mat. And I lay down on the couch, and I got the gloves on, and I said, I'm out cold. And she says, really? I said, yeah. 6:30, I'm ready to go to bed. Really weird. So this is what's happening. So she asked me, what happened? I said, I don't know. This is what I did. I had the mat. And I said something interesting to her, Caitlin. Maybe you can explain. I said, I got cold. I had the mat down, had the gloves on. But I said, I got really cold. She said, the mat was cold. I said, the mat was cold. My house is not cold. So this is now a way to talk about what is the mat. What happened to me, Caitlin?
Well, the beauty with nature is it will work with us on whatever we need. It doesn't override us. So probably what's going on with you is you needed some rest. That was going to be a very good thing for you. Yeah. And so it's not that everybody who touches it passes out or anything.
Right, exactly.
It's like, okay, this is what you need right now. And the amount of healing that your body was probably doing on itself during that time was probably pretty profound. So what happens is the mat is literally turns itself on and off as you need it. So the coolness at first was the mat not being turned on. And then as it stands and reads us, it starts to warm up and send out the amount of energy that's appropriate for us. And that's the beauty of nature, is nature is symbiotic with humans. It can read us. For example, if you have a headache and you take something natural herbs or whatever for that, those herbs can read us and know how much to bring, when, and they can read us as different individuals, somebody smaller or bigger. There's this consciousness when we work with natural things. When you take a synthetic pill, it just brings it, and it can't tell one person from the other. It's unconscious. And so what's nice with your mat is it's literally, the higher something vibrates, the more conscious it is, the more aware it is. And it works with you as an individual. And what you will notice, and it's really fun to have something that you feel like, oh, this is my little buddy that actually kind of cares about me here, is it will turn itself on when you need it, and it'll turn on even stronger when you need more, and back off when you don't. And for example, you'll notice when you get near it or have it on you, let's say you have a cold coming on, it'll start blazing, getting real nice and warm because it's sending all that energy out. Let's say, if your back's bothering you or whatever, it heats up and sends more energy in. I call it like nature's Reiki, like it's just that beautiful energy from nature. Mm-hmm. And it will also do that even with emotional things going on. It will. I had a friend who had a terrible emotional experience, and she was in her bed, and she said her mat just blazed for 3 days on her, helping her get through the situation. And so that's a beautiful part of nature, and the mat is really your concentrated, very alive, very aware nature that works with us on an on and off as we need it basis.
Well, I love this. Now, I want to just let everybody know we're actually going to give we would love to gift our one of our listeners. We have amazing listeners. We love to gift one of you one of these vibrational therapy mats right now today. But for those of you tuning in, please go to vibesup.com/Dr. Pat, and you're going to be able to see many of the things that Caitlin and I are talking about. So the way that we're going to do this is first caller, 1-800-930-2819. Sarah's going to get your name, your information, 1-800-930-2819. And when you call in, give that information to Sarah, and also let Sarah know what is ailing you that you're thinking of using the mat for. You know, you don't have to come on air. If you want to come on air, we'd love to have you. But tell us what you're thinking. Now, Caitlin, I wanted to say this while Sarah's getting the phones. Now, I had to get up because I needed to deliver my check, my rent check, right? And so I realized, oh my gosh, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get this done, and then I'm going to get back to bed. So I was meeting with a couple of my friends really quickly, live right down the street from me, meeting with my friends. I go in the house, they invite me in. I don't have the mat with me, but I go to sit on the couch for a little bit, being social. The next thing I know, the little dog jumps up in my lap, right? Now, this is a dog that usually goes ballistic, right? People come, she's jumping all around, jumps up on my lap. Within 15 seconds is out cold. The dog is out cold. Little 8-year-old looks at me and she said, "What did you do? What did you do to Angel? This is a miracle. Angel's asleep." Now, how do you explain that?
Let me ask you, did you still have your pants on, your Vibe pants?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so
yes,
that's probably the energy there, because it has a strip in the front and a strip in the back of the Vibe material. So the animals, just like ourselves, are very aware that we're in these synthetic environments, and they're supposed to be living right on nature, and they need that energy. So they're getting sick right along with us with the imbalance. And so the animals have this keen sense of energy. They read energy so much, and they're very drawn to the Vibes Up. I have a lot of people who have to fight with their pets for mat time. It's like, hey, get off the mat, my turn. And so we put it also under their food and water dishes. And I had a talk show host tell me his little dog, which it was like him and his wife's child. They love their dog so much. And it started to throw up. Every time it would eat, it would throw up. And they were going to have to take it for exploratory surgery, which would have been very invasive. And I sent him a mat, and he put it underneath his pet's food and water dishes. And the dog ate and threw up one little time, and then never again after that. And my opinion on what happened there was because a lot of the dog food and the stuff, is so out of balance and so toxic that the dog's body was probably rejecting the food. And then once it got under the mat and got reharmonized, it was able to eat the food and not have the problem. But the animals we have it in little teddy bears too, and the dogs are notorious for stealing and eloping with the teddy bears. They love them.
Wow. Well, let's go through and talk a little bit about what you've created for our listeners, because I'm telling you, I know exactly what I'm going to be getting people for the holidays. I mean, and by the way, I don't want to take up all the time about me, but I did put the mat, like you said, in between the sheets and so forth. And I have some additional stories to talk about with that, as well as the gloves. But what's fascinating about this is when the dog moved, the dog and me got so hot, right? I mean, hot. We physically hot. The dog had to move off of me, but didn't wake up. It didn't jump off the floor. And when I left, the dog went outside with me. So it's not like the dog was out and about. In a few minutes, the dog was up. How does this work for us as humans? How does this help us get into balance?
Well, again, like you were saying, that dog was out of balance. It was, they called it, I think, a spaz, you were telling me, right? The dog was like hyper, and it wasn't a healthy kind of energy. The dog was just like, So it was helping bring it back to, okay, let's reset here. Let's get this back in balance. Let's calm this down. And again, it will give a person what they're needing. So if it's more energy someone needs, that will happen. If it's more, rest and recoup, and because at that place of rest is when we do a lot of healing, then that's what will happen.
Wow.
So that's the beauty of the individual result.
I got to tell you, we got one of our fabulous listeners wants to chat with us, Caitlin, here, right now, wants to have a chat. Excited about the mat. Sarah, who do we have?
This is Maureen. She was our winner.
Maureen, how can we help you today? Great to have you on the show. I'd love for you to meet Caitlin. She's amazing.
Thank you. Hi, Caitlin. Thanks for your generosity.
Oh, hi, Maureen. You're going to love your mat.
Hi, and I'm on your website, and I'm looking at the different uses for the mat, and I'm so excited about this.
How can we help you? What are you going to use it for?
Well, sleep, better sleep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, better sleep and energy.
Well, Maureen, if you go to the mat and you scroll down, you'll be able to see a section. It'll explain more about how it works. It's kind of nice to get to know your little buddy there. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll be able to read the 108 uses for it. Okay. And, there's so many different fun things. Even you can even attach it to the top of your ceiling fan blades, and when you turn it on, it's spinning good energy through the room.
Wow.
There's all these different fun ways that you can use it.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much for calling in. You will love it. Thank you.
I will. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So, Caitlin, tell us a bit about now, if those of you out there, if you go to vibesup.com/Dr. Pat, you're going to see what Caitlin and the team at Vibes Up has put together. But there are so many other things. I fell in love with the gloves. And Linda tried to get me to explain, well, why do you like them so much? What is it about them you like? And I couldn't really explain it. And again, I would love for you to explain it.
Yeah, and there's one thing I'm glad we got a chance to talk about the gloves. There's two different kinds. There's one that's the ageless formula, and aging has everything to do with vibrations. The lower something vibrates, the faster it ages, and the higher it vibrates, the slower. And so I have these gloves, and I wear one on only one hand and not the other because I like to experiment. And all I have to do is show people my top of my two hands, because that, we age on our face and neck and also the back of our hands. And all I have to do is hold my two hands out and show people. And even my dentist was jumping up and down, mainstream guy. And he's all, you got to get this out there. I'm like, I'm trying, I'm doing it. And he was just, sometimes people need to see something. And then he was just so blown away. So there's that version of the gloves. And then there's the ouch ones. And the ouch ones you wear the other way around. So you wear it where it's covering your fingers, not the palm of your hand, but your fingertips. And I call them sleeping gloves. You can just wear them at night while you sleep. And the results are so quick with them. And that's what I like, is for people to see the results. And in fact, pain is a big one where so what was that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So with the pain, sometimes people need to experience something firsthand to really get the concept of energy and vibrations. And my adopted brother was telling me, Caitlin, I get that people really like your stuff, and that it's I have a lot of it out there all around the world. He goes, but I don't really get it. How does it work? And I just asked him, I go, do you have pain on your body? And he said, oh, my lower back hurts all the time. And I put it on his lower back, and within 2-3 minutes, he looks at me and goes, I get it. And It was a complete shift in that. And the reason for that is high and low vibrations cannot coexist. It's like you can't have a light bulb on and off at the same time.
Right.
So pain, depression, disease, these literally vibrate low. So when you're raising the vibrations, you've change the channel, and you switch the channel to a different reality. But we don't want to ignore pain, right? Pain's our friend. It's like, hey, you need to pay attention over here. So it's not just changing the channel and ignoring it. It's also sending energy to that area, which is what the body needs to do its masterful repairs that it knows how to do.
Wow. And I have to tell you, we've got a lot of interest about this topic right here. So, Sarah, we have one of our fabulous other callers calling in. Is this Ann?
Yes, this is Ann calling from Falls Church
in Virginia.
Yeah.
Hey, Ann, great to have you here. What's your question for Caitlin?
Hi, Dr. Pat. Hi, Caitlin. How are you?
Awesome.
Good. I'm very much of an empath, and I tend to take on people's energy. Mm-hmm. And a lot. So, and plus I cook for a living, so I'm constantly on my feet. So between those two things, would that help ground me? Because there are times, again, when I try to ground myself before I go out, but I pick up again. I could go into a store and be exhausted immediately and have to just leave. Will the mat help me?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that. That's absolutely perfect because
there's so many people out there like me, I'm sure. So
many, and we're like antennas, and we're picking up on all this around us, which can be a very good thing. We're very good at picking up and things that can save our lives and others, and there's a good part to that. But in nature, we would normally that information would come in and pass through us because we would be operating barefoot on the earth. And what that does is the earth feeds energy up and it pulls that excess out. Well, we're running around without it being pulled out because we're not plugged into the earth. And so what you would do with your mat is you would cut it to fit the shape inside your shoe, put it inside there. And of everything that I have, I love all my babies, but if somebody asks me, what's the one most transformational thing? And that would be to put that inside of your shoes because the bottom of our feet have 50,000 receptors. They are our plug-in designed to be plugged into the earth. And again, the earth feeds the energy up to our body, pulls that excess out. And that's the polarity we're supposed to be in, the minus polarity, the pull polarity. And things would go through us, whether it's emotions, all this electronic energy around us. They've even done studies when you're grounded that the tartar doesn't stick to the piece like it normally would. So I start to question, well, I wonder if that has to do with our intestines and arteries and all these ways that we're being things sticking to us and experiences not passing through where we kind of hold on to them longer than we want to. So that, and also I've done tests with the aura pictures, where you can see the actual chakras. And when you put those on, it balanced the chakras and the aura turned white. And white is a combination of all the chakras together. And that's our natural state. We would be walking around in our little white aura bubble. And white is a very high frequency. So remember how I said high and low vibrations don't coexist? That would be our natural filter that we're supposed to have. And you would get it if you were barefoot out on the front lawn, the same thing. But we can't always be barefoot like that. So these go inside your shoes. They help to balance. And, since I started, I'm a little excited. I have to jump in with this as I have to share the difference that I've noticed.
Yeah.
And it's balance, balance, balance. Like I used to be chronic chiropractic. Like I wouldn't stay in, like going out. And it's not good. Even a chiropractor would say it's not good to get adjusted that much, And in the about 8 years, I've had those in my shoes. I haven't had to go to the chiropractor one time. I just did something to my shoulder once, but I haven't had to have my spine realigned again. It balanced itself. My hormones, my vitamin D level, all these changes I've noticed, my hair being thicker. And I don't know for
your hair
sure.
Being thicker. That's like, wow.
Well, think about the circulation, right? If we're plugged into the earth. So, yeah, I used to joke I had 16 hairs, and I counted them every morning to make sure they were all there. It's so much better now. So
are you saying to buy the mat and cut part of the mat for your feet and then use the rest of the mat?
Yeah, and
did I get that right or no?
Different size mats, like even the large size mat.
Yeah, there are different size mats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For 4 different family members, if you had a large one, or 4 of your different shoes. I even have flip-flops for in the summertime that are just ready to go. And so that's one of my favorite, is just that being plugged in. I even noticed my courage and confidence went up more. One of my biggest fears, by the way, is public speaking. And you notice I'm feeling pretty comfortable. A lot of things I became a lot braver about and more comfortable in my own skin. I noticed that when things happened around me, like my teenage boys would say something really mean, it would just kind of go through and not, affect me like it used to. So I really love that particular product. And it's just getting ourselves back to how we are designed to live. We're designed to be grounded. We're designed to be plugged into the earth. And that's why all of us empaths are just feeling overloaded. And I'll bet you that little doggy is a little empath dog and overloaded. It's a little feeler. And it's just like these kids that get so wigged out is because they are picking up on a tremendous amount of overload of information and energy that's not passing through them like it's supposed to.
Yes, yes. Wow.
I mean, isn't that
Thank
incredible?
You so much.
Yeah. And you can go to the website Vibes Up and you'll see all of the products. But also if you go to vibesup.com /Dr. Pat, Caitlin has put together some very specific things for you guys based on some of the things I've used myself. So enjoy that.
Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and stay on the
you.
line so Sarah can get some information because we'd like to send you something for your cell phone.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, stay on the line, and Sarah will get your information. Thank you so much. Wow, Caitlin, I can't wait till you come back. I cannot believe how quickly this hour has gone. I mean, it is amazing, isn't it? Oh, my gosh.
I've had a lot of fun. And, I do have a gift. Let me see if I can find this here. I do. I have a link that every listener can go to.
Wow.
That they can have a free cell phone cover, and it has like a little nature backpack built into it with that formula in your cell phone, and you can pull it out and use it like a little nature first aid kit, and it also is helping reharmonize the phone. And so you can go to vibesup.com, vibesup.com /Pat, PAT, cell, CELL. And there is free, one per person of a free cell phone cover, and all you need to pay is the shipping, which I think is probably about $3.99 or so on that, and that's a gift from us today.
Wow. So this is everybody. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm looking at it right now. Please go ahead and go to Vibes Up.
Matt too. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, Caitlin.
Let's
tell
get
everybody
our last,
again.
Everybody gets a cell phone cover. Let's give that last caller a Matt also.
Let's give our last caller the Matt. Very good. I love that. Yay. So tell everybody again what the website is they can go to.
Okay, it's vibesup.com, vibesup.com /Pat, PAT, cell, CELL.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What a great show. I cannot wait till you come back. Caitlin, thank you so much. For those of you out there, right, Caitlin, if you have ever been wondering, I do not want to know what to get my friend for the holiday because they got everything. They do not have this, I am sure. Please check it out, vibesup.com. So much information. The cell phone cover is amazing. Caitlin, thank you so much. One last quick question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
I would like to encourage people to reconnect to nature, whether you're, playfully having chats with your houseplant, getting out in nature more, into that balance of nature. And remember that nature is who we are. We're not separate from nature. Humans are nature, and that nature is our best teacher to remind us how to get back to our balance, how to get back to being self-generating of energy, and get out in nature as much as you can, and whenever possible, bring as much nature into your homes and into your lives and reconnect like we were designed to be.
I love it. Caitlin, thank you so much. For you guys out there, please go ahead and get the Shield for your cell phone. It's a $30 value. All you pay is the shipping, and what a special gift from the team at Vibes Up. Caitlin, you rock. Thank you so much for today. Thank you all,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Good job pushing the buttons. Hey, everybody, we'll see you next time.